Hey everyone, and welcome to another explainer. So have you ever stopped to wonder just how much of your daily life is being run by a hidden, deeply sophisticated biological communication network? I am so incredibly thrilled you're here today because we're going to look at something truly fundamental and honestly a bit mind-blowing about how we operate. We're diving deep into the body-mind connection and specifically how we can actually go about restoring our internal intelligence system. You know, we live in a world that moves so incredibly fast, and it is entirely too easy to lose touch with the very networks that keep us grounded, healthy, and authentic. So today we're unpacking the fascinating neurobiological connection between the head and the heart, and we're looking at the exact steps required to repair it.
I want to start by asking you a question. Who is really making your decisions? Or actually scratch that, what part of you is making your decisions? If you're like most people in the modern world, you probably pointed right to your head, right? We just assume our brains, our conscious thinking, are the undisputed ultimate decision makers. We believe that we think first and then we move after thinking. But here's the fascinating twist from the research we're looking at today. Much of our behavior stems from this completely flawed belief. Operating entirely from the head actually dysregulates our entire body system. It turns out the brain might not actually be the boss we always thought it was. Okay, let's dive into this. When we talk about the body-mind connection, we aren't just talking about some vague wellness concept. We're talking about a highly sensitive, innate, and entirely unique biological intelligence network. And here is the real paradigm shift. It's actually the heart, not the head, that acts as the true parent in this relationship. In fact, biologically speaking, the heart actually sends significantly more neural signals up to the brain than the brain sends down to the heart. The heart regulates all the other functions in the body and the brain. Our bodies are constantly working to signal, communicate, and sense things. Our most intelligent signals don't come from externally sourced information or from our memories. They come from our body's real-time feelings and inner data. And when our originality and our biology finally sync up, well, that's when we achieve a state of true presence.
Now, notice the stark contrast here between how we're taught to live versus how we're biologically designed to live. On one side, we have head-based thinking. We live in a world deliberately designed to disconnect us from our essential, heart-centered feeling state. We start to form an identity and an experience based purely on what we've been taught, shown, or told. It's essentially artificial. On the other side, though, we have whole-body intelligence. This is our original state, where we act on real biological feelings and inner data. When we rely purely on the head, we override our original biological network. We essentially trade our highly attuned inner compass for external conditioning.
And that brings us to the conflict. We experience what we can basically call a system override, a glitch in our programming, if you will. Our biological network is profoundly intelligent, but it's also highly sensitive. When we're constantly bombarded by external conditioning, our natural system essentially gets hacked. The intelligence network that relies on the heart's regulation gets forcefully pushed aside, all because the environment demands that we stay entirely up in our heads. So, what causes this hack? What actually triggers this system override? Well, the data points to some very specific, intense emotional experiences. Things like early or frequent exposure to fear, shame, shock, or extreme sadness. These are heavy, overwhelming burdens. And when this highly sensitive network is exposed to these triggers too often or way too early in life, the system makes a drastic, honestly heartbreaking choice. It starts to disconnect in order to survive. It literally shuts down the communication lines between the body's natural feelings and the conscious mind, just to protect you from the crushing weight of those experiences.
Watch how fast this cascade failure happens. This is a nervous system in absolute crisis. First, the fear or shock hits. Second, disconnection happens immediately to ensure survival. Third, the connection severs, throwing the body into a state of chronic alarm, and we retreat even further into panicked, head-based thinking. Fourth, the body continues building data, but becomes glaringly aware that we are completely ignoring its signals. And fifth, the ultimate result, malfunction, illness. The system crashes entirely.
So, the crucial point is, we absolutely cannot ignore this disconnect without paying a very heavy physical price. The research gives it to us straight. The body starts to malfunction. Our health decreases. When the body's alarms are constantly sounding from deep within us, and we keep trying to shove them down with head-based logic, our thoughts and our genuine feelings start sending terribly muddled signals. The physical toll of living entirely in our heads, of abandoning our own physical data, directly compromises our physical health.
But how do we usually react to this internal chaos? We do pretty much all the wrong things. We try to mask the alarm bells, we attempt to artificially limit our own sensitivity, We start judging ourselves, feeling like we're somehow abnormal. And, perhaps most ironically, we take our body's completely natural responses to ignored overwhelm and we label them as disorders. It's exactly like ignoring the check engine light on your car and then getting angry when the engine starts smoking. We hopelessly try to outthink our bodily warnings, treating our own vital, life-saving intelligence like an annoying software update we just keep clicking Remind Me Tomorrow on.
We have to stop. We need a hard reset. The only way to heal this, the absolutely only way to start undoing these heavy layers of faulty signaling and inauthentic artificial behavior, is to go right back to the very beginning. We have to return to the heart. It's time to start actually listening to what is going on inside. It's time to heed the alarm and give our body the presence, the attention, and the time it desperately needs to let us know what we've been trying to suppress.
Think of your internal network like this. It has three distinct parts. The heart is the conductor of energy. The mind is the machine, and it's meant to be powered by that heart. And the breath? Well, this brilliantly illustrates how the breath acts as the regulator, the cleanser, and the clarifier of both. The breath is our ultimate natural healing method. It's the built-in tool that reconnects our original functions and detoxifies the communication lines between the conductor and the machine.
I want you to pause for a second. Just stop analyzing the information. Stop taking mental notes. The source material offers a very direct invitation, and I'm extending it to you right now. Try it now.
Just take one breath in and one breath out. Repeat it. Stay with the breath. Make it unhurried. Make it accepting. As you do this, you are deliberately beginning to drop beneath that baseline state of alarm that acts as a cloak around your true feelings. You're letting the mind rest and you're letting the breath take over. When you stay with this accepting breath, incredible things happen biologically. The mind finally gets to rest. The detox process begins, clearing out that muddled signaling. Your central nervous system actually begins the profound process of reconnecting to the brain. And most importantly, the truth of your feelings, your wants, your needs, and your desires begins to gently uncloak. All that healthy, organic intelligence surfaces from deep within you, cutting right through the fatigue, the urgency, and the weariness caused by chronic dysregulation. You finally begin to experience who you really are. Which leaves us with this final, absolutely vital question. If you finally stopped thinking, if you put the mind back in its proper place as the machine, and let your heart act as the conductor, if you just let your body speak, what is it trying to tell you? Your internal intelligence system is waiting to be heard. You just have to breathe and listen. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I genuinely hope this helps you start that conversation with yourself.